Vayne Masteries 622. Now, as you can see, I'm going Warlord's Bloodlust. This is basically a no-brainer on Vayne. You want to be able to build into crit items currently. Blade of the Rune King still in a pretty bad spot. And until Blade of the Rune King is buffed, I don't see Vayne going back to Thunderlords or Grasp or Fervor or anything like that. So, even potentially after Blade of the Rune King is buffed, if it ever does get buffed, then she may even still go Warlords at that point. Now, with that in mind, I'll go through the rest of the points here. Attack speed, this kind of a no-brainer. Ability damage doesn't actually apply on anything for Vayne, so Feast is pretty arguable for Vayne. I feel like I have enough sustain without it though, so I would opt for Fresh Blood because that's more damage. And it helps to shore up her sort of a weak early laning phase. Since she doesn't make good use of the ability power here, I would take Vampirism for the extra life steal. Now this is one that I'm kind of torn on. I could see myself using any of these masteries as Vayne. Bounty Hunter in particular will be really good with the late game damage dealer, but you have to understand that a lot of her true damage won't scale with Bounty Hunter. So true damage doesn't actually go up based off of this multiplier. So all of your physical damage still will, and any magic damage you happen to deal via proxy, but as a result, maybe getting Battle Trance is a better option if you're concerned with shoring up your weaknesses early. Vayne is already decently strong at all stages in the game past early game, so there's really no reason why you would want Double-Edged Sword. I think Bounty Hunter makes a lot of sense on Vayne thematically, but because I'm such a stat junkie, I want something that's going to be good from level 1. Masteries and runes, that's how I view them. They should be used to increase your stats from early in the game. And by virtue of being stronger earlier in the game, then you're able to be strong in the mid to late game where your other choices may have been better. So just because Double-Edged Sword scales better on paper from level 1 doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to take that though. The 2.5% additional damage is pretty relevant to Vayne's interest. She's one of the squishier 80 carries. And some of the mid laners that you're going to have to deal with, they would love to be able to deal additional damage to you, so that's just not a very good choice for Vayne when she really just needs to survive. She's got plenty of damage in her kit. So all of the masteries so far are geared towards surviving. So as we said, Vayne doesn't have any magic damage to speak of. So we've got Armor Penetration and Warlord's Bloodlust. Savagery, this is just your basic catch-all 80 carry mastery. If you can if you can make Wanderer work, then more power to you. I don't see why you would need it. Maybe you can split a couple of points and it doesn't really make a difference. But you have to take into consideration that the 5 bonus damage to minions and monsters, that's going to be increasingly relevant for neutral objectives like Dragon and Baron. Especially now the Elder Dragon doesn't take less damage from you if you've taken dragons previously. Since Riot removed that, then the more damage you have, the better. Even before that, it was still good, but now you can actually feel what 5 damage times however many times you attack the dragon. If you hit it 10 times, it's already 50 damage. which you can miss a smite by 50 damage. So it's actually pretty relevant, and there's no situation where Wanderer tangibly is better than Savagery at any point in the game. Maybe in certain situations, if this saves your life, maybe then it's worth it. But you never know when that situation is going to happen. So is it better to just go for the more consistent gains? I think that it is, and it's a lot easier to CS with this mastery. I choose to go Assassin here because I play pretty aggressive. As you should know, if you've seen any of my videos, Runic Affinity is an arguable choice as well. So I will leave that up to you. There's 2 choices here. And 3 technically if you just want the extra sustain. I don't think that you need it after you've got all this in Doran's Blade. So Runic Affinity or Assassin, Merciless, because this is just, it's a no-brainer. It's extra damage, and this is just magic, mana regen. I mean, and this is the only other choice that I was having problems with. Dangerous Game or Greenfather's Gift. Dangerous Game could be really good in a team fight where a little bit of extra health can be the difference between, a little bit of extra health and mana, I should say, could be the difference between getting an ace and getting aced. But since I think Vayne can use this mastery pretty frequently, it's somewhat easy to duck into a bush, and she's got decent attack range. Despite not having any long range abilities, her attack range is pretty substantial. I think Greenfather's Gift is pretty good. It goes along with her kit thematically to be able to do more percentage damage. So in some cases, Dangerous Game might even be a little bit overkill. So if you can think of a situation where you're chasing someone through the jungle and you're able to duck into a bush, then Greenfather's is always going to be more damage in that situation, or more value. Like, let's say you're full health and you dive into a bush, Greenfather's automatically beats Dangerous Game in that situation. So those are things to keep in mind. It is possible to take this on any AD carry, but you want to keep in mind their general playstyle. Caitlyn is not someone who's going to be diving into the bush all that often. Despite her passive, she's going to be in the lane. And you just kind of extrapolate from there what you would prefer to have, basically.
The dark minions have spawned me.
It is worth to note that this is Greenfather's Vayne, so Greenfather's does work in the jungle, so you want to be able to proc this if you take this mastery.
They will be pure.
Did 54 extra damage there if you didn't see it.
I
just procced again right before I finished clearing. So this is a very specific way to clear the jungle for champions that have like low damage in AoE. And the idea is obviously not to take damage from the Razor Beak. Otherwise, I'd probably already do it if I was thinking camp.
The shadows
and as you can see, I'm still doing this with just refillable potion. On Vayne, it's probably worth it to skip wolves if you went with this path. Get the Greenfather's proc. making sure to kite this to its fullest potential. Looking for another Greenfather's prop. Finish it off. And this is when we start to get more healthy out the jungle. The jungle will actually start to feel less.
Evil lurks around every corner.
And we do this by having good mechanics. And just abusing damage over time, and the fact that the camp is going to reset. And you don't necessarily have to do that. It doesn't make the clear faster. It actually slows it down a little bit at the expense of getting a little bit more health back.
In the dark,
But as you can see,
bare.
at this point I'm having no trouble clearing the jungle. This camp will be just a small annoyance, and by then I'll be able to go up and do the raptors again. So it's by no means OP or anything like that. But since the camp is resetting, I'm life stealing off it while it's resetting. And you can see why that would be useful for a jungler to be able to do that. You may be increasing your times fighting the camp. When you come out healthier, now admittedly, in this jungle you're going to want it to be you're going to want to clear the jungle as fast as possible so you get lower respawn times. But on your initial clear, that's not an issue because you just clear as fast as you can. And then at this point, I probably would recall after I take the entire jungle. And then by the time you get back from base, this camp will have been up.
They will be cured.
But since I didn't elect to stay, I'll just do it now. Actually, maybe you can't do this camp.
I smell black magics.